Your favorite trip of 2023. Did you know Corey was going to propose when he did? Birth control, kids after you're married. When is your next Disney trip? What has been your favorite part of wedding planning so far? Hi everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Brianna and welcome to probably one of the best coffee chats that this channel is ever gonna see. And that is because it's a festive coffee chat, but with that being said as well, we are wrapping some gifts. We're wrapping gifts for my mom, my niece, and my nephew. That is who we are wrapping for today. And I thought it could be really fun to do some gift wrapping together. Also, the fireplace might stay on, it might not. I also need to lower the camera a little bit, so bear with me as we navigate this fun little coffee chat together. But you all submitted, where did I even, oh, my phone's up here. This is just like a chaotic intro as always. But you guys asked me some questions over on Instagram because I feel like we have not done a coffee chat catch up in what feels like months, and it actually has been months. And the reason why is because we have just been moving and grooving. A lot of things have been happening. It's just been a busy season of life. We were in Florida, I got really sick, then Corey got sick, my mom pulled out her back. Like, we've just had a busy season. So I wanted to do a fun little coffee chat today, but we're actually going to be wrapping gifts at the same time. So you guys asked me some questions over on Instagram. Also, thank you always for those of you that are submitting your questions. It is so nice because I wouldn't be able to do these coffee chats, of course, without you guys asking some questions along the way. So what are we talking about today? We've got some Christmas questions, wedding questions, YouTube questions, lots of travel questions, some Disney questions, and then some miscellaneous questions. So we're gonna get into it all today. Welcome to the little chaotic, fun, and cozy coffee chat. Very excited for today. Also, welcome to Vlogmas Day 12. This is the end of our Vlogmas installment. So comment down below if you liked Vlogmas, if you enjoyed it. I feel like the vibes right now are just unmatched. So let's get into wrapping. I'm very thirsty. I also just threw on some quick makeup. This is my Merit stick, my Merit blush, a little bit of NARS concealer, and some mascara. That's like literally all I have on today, and I'm kind of digging the natural makeup look. Also, I need to move this little gnome because every time I move, he's just gonna distract me. But he is pretty cute, but he's not gonna be in the video today. So let's get started. I am going to wrap for my nephew first because I need to know if I need to get some more paper. I'm wrapping. Also, I don't know if anyone does this, but some years I will wrap, like, I wrap my mom's, my dad's, my brother, sister, sister-in-law, all those kinds of gifts in one kind of paper, and then I use fun gift tags. But for my niece and nephew, because everything comes from Santa, I just wrap their paper, like theirs in their own paper, so I don't need any gift tags. So my nephew is in love with the Grinch, so we are wrapping in some Grinch paper. And two things that I got my nephew, we can do that at the same time. First is I got him this really cool Marvel Spider-Man Lego, and then we also got him this Jurassic Park dinosaur Lego because he's very into dinosaurs right now. And I have something else in there that was meant to be for Corey, but he stumbled upon it and found it. So without further ado, let's get into wrapping and have a festive little coffee chat. I don't know what this video is ultimately gonna look like, but let's hope it's a good one. First, which is not a question, but I wanted to kind of kick off this coffee chat with it, was not a question, but you seem like you're thriving. And honestly, I kind of am. I feel like I'm in a very fun, oh, of course I left the tape over there. We're good, I got it. But I was gonna say, I really do feel like I'm thriving. I feel like I'm in just a really fun spot in my life right now where Corey and I are finally slowing down. The holidays have been fun. We've been doing a lot of fun holiday things so that I can vlog it for you guys. So I just feel like I'm in such a fun little festive, I was gonna say festive season, but like an enjoyable, fun part of the year right now. Also, I'm gonna turn this just a smidge and lower you guys down a little bit. There we go. That's probably easier. Oh yeah, much better just for like wrapping purposes. But yeah, I definitely feel like I'm in a really good era of my life right now where I'm enjoying spending time with my family and, you know, enjoying the holidays and everything that it brought. I also feel like I'm in just a fun wedding planning season of life. We'll get into a lot of that a little bit later as well. But I don't know, I just feel like right now, Corey and I have been doing some fun things, like we went to the Patriots game. I've been a little bit more active posting on my Instagram for photos. YouTube has been so fun to be able to vlog so much. So I definitely feel as though I'm thriving. Of course, not every day, because I also just got over a pretty bad sickness that took me out for almost all of Thanksgiving. But with that being said, I do feel like for the most part, I am thriving. I'm in a really fun season of life right now, and I'm just enjoying everything that life throws at me. Corey is enjoying everything that, you know, life throws at him and us. So yeah, I definitely feel like I'm thriving and enjoying parts of life. So next question was any must-haves for Christmas, or anything that I am particularly asking for Christmas or hope to receive for Christmas. Well, the first thing that I really wanted was a black bagoo bag, because I travel a ton and I feel like that is just a nice bigger bag that is a little bit more flat on my body, but I feel like I can really use it a lot for travel. So that was one of my must-haves that I asked for Christmas. I also wanted a cashmere sweater, because I really want to start investing in more nicer, and I've always been somebody that invests in my clothing. I've never not been somebody that invests in my clothing, but I've always wanted a cashmere sweater, and so this year for Christmas I asked for one, and I really hope that I get one, because it was a big gift on my list that I really wanted. So fingers crossed for me for the cashmere sweater. And I'm trying to think of any of my other like bigger wants for Christmas. Another one of my bigger wants that I wanted for Christmas, but I didn't necessarily ask for it because it was well over budget, that Corey and I had set this year. I have really been contemplating between the Shark and the Dyson Airwrap, and I think that in this new year, I am going to invest in the Dyson. The reason why is because I am trying to be a little bit better about being on my curly hair journey. I want to not use as much heat on my hair. I want to be making sure that my hair is nice and healthy, and so that was definitely something that I would have asked for Christmas, but I knew that it was way over the budget of what Corey and I had kind of talked about for Christmas. We ended up going over the budget anyway, but I just would really think I would love to actually invest in one in the new year. So those were some of my Christmas wants, but I would say the one thing that I am most hoping that I get is the bagoo bag, because that was a big gift that I feel like is a want and a need, because I definitely think I can get a lot of really good use out of it, just for the sole fact that I travel a ton, Corey and I travel a ton, and I feel like it is just like the perfect travel bag and also everyday bag, if you know what I mean. It doesn't have to necessarily be just for travel, but you know, Disney and the airports and just everything in general, I feel like it's a really good bag. The next question was my favorite Christmas movie. My favorite Christmas movie is Chevy Chase Christmas Vacation. I could quite literally recite the entire thing if you asked me to, from start to finish. It is my all-time favorite movie. Oh, this is killing the vibe, the commercial. I feel like it just makes me laugh. It reminds me so much of just like funny and silly, chaotic moments that we have in my family. Comment down below if you ever feel like there's times where you watch that movie and you're like, this is totally my family, or oh my gosh, I agree with that. I feel like that's why I love it so much, because it just reminds me of like my family and certain little silly moments and things that we have. So definitely Chevy Chase Christmas Vacation is my favorite Christmas movie. I would say that my second favorite Christmas movie is probably Elf or the Santa Claus. Those are just like two of my all-time favorites. So now let's get into some wedding planning and just wedding questions in general. The first one was, how is wedding planning going? Wedding planning is going surprisingly very well. I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more because we have gotten a lot more done, and by we I mean predominantly me, just because there's not really like much that Corey is inquiring with. He makes all the decisions with me, but I'm the one that does a lot of the inquiring and the scheduling of the meetings and trying to move things along. But a few things that we have done, and I'm gonna do an entire like wedding catch up, starting that vlog series up again, just because we haven't really done too much in the last, like, you know, few months were a little bit quiet, but now we're like really getting into some wedding planning. So with that, we have booked our wedding hotel, so I'm very excited about that. We know exactly where we're gonna stay for the few nights before and the night of the wedding. What else have we done? I've inquired to 2 florists. I'll take you along on the entire florist planning, because that's something I feel like I've had a really hard time with, is trying to figure out like, how much does a florist cost? What should we be focused on? What kind of florals do I want? So that's definitely something that we're working on right now in terms of wedding planning. And then the other thing that we're in the midst of is trying to figure out, we have been back and forth, when I tell you 100 times, if we want a wedding videographer or we don't. And I'm kind of back in the realm of the mindset where I do want a wedding videographer. So we need to get back into that kind of realm of, what do we want to charge? Like, what do we want to pay for it? How long of a video? What kind of a thing do we want? So so we need to revisit that. But for the most part, wedding planning is going very, very well. The next question is, what has been your favorite part of wedding planning so far? By far, the day that I got my wedding dress. It was the best. Second best to getting like engaged was the day I got my wedding dress. I went with the best group of ladies. I went with my mom, my aunt, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and my best friend of like 15, 20 years, who's also my maid of honor. And it was just a dream day, and it was just like, I could even get emotional talking about it and thinking about it, because we were at the, you know, dress shop for a while. I tried on a ton of dresses. We finally came to my dress and I knew it almost immediately. And it's so cliche, but when you know, you just know. I'll save that story for like a wedding catch-up vlog, because I know that this one really isn't that. And so I would say that that's been my favorite. We also went out to lunch after. We spent like 3 hours together, and I just felt so loved and cherished during that day. Corey got me 3 or 4 dozen long stem red roses, which was so thoughtful. That made me cry. It was just a day filled with my favorite women doing something that I've always dreamed of. So yeah, I would say that has by far been the best part of the wedding planning so far. So the next wedding question was, did you know Corey was going to propose when he did? And the answer to your question is no. I had no idea. Corey and I have been together for, now it's going to be 7 years in February. We've just been together for so long that once you hit a certain point, at least for me in your relationship, you know it's coming, but you're not necessarily looking for it anymore. It also just feels like, and this sounds silly, but kind of like you already are married, and that you're already starting your lives together. So Corey and I went wedding ring shopping, like engagement ring shopping together in July, like the last weekend of July. And I had just assumed that like whenever he was financially stable enough and whenever he was financially comfortable enough to make the purchase and buy the ring, that he would. And I don't know, I guess I assumed it would happen by the end of the year, but I just didn't really know when, and I don't know, we're always together, so I didn't really dawn on me when it would be. I thought it would be maybe months down the road, maybe around, you know, right before my birthday, Christmas time. I don't really know when I thought it was gonna happen, but I just wasn't kind of looking for it. Apparently, Corey went out and got my engagement ring. We went shopping on Saturday. He went back to the jeweler and bought the ring on, what day was it? I think it was Monday. I had to go into the office for something, and he went back to the jeweler and bought the ring. Now, I had no idea. And then one day in August, he went back to pick it up because I was also in the office for some work event or something. And then we ended up getting engaged in October. I walked into that room and could not have been more startled. I almost went to my engagement with like sweatpants on and yoga pants, and like I just was not thinking about engagement whatsoever. And I just think it's because we had already started our lives together, whether the ring was there or not. So I was never, in theory, really looking for it necessarily. So I had no idea that he was gonna propose, and it was probably the most surprised I'd ever been in my life. Next is still wedding, but now we're moving into the kids. Everyone's asking about kids. When are we having babies? What's going on with me and Corey having babies? So the question was birth control, kids after you're married. First things first, I think that birth control is like the hottest topic all over social media right now, and it's kind of driving me nuts. Not in a bad way, and this is no shade to this person. I'm so glad that you asked this question. I feel like birth control is getting this negative connotation right now, and for what reason, I'm quite really not sure. And I think people are like, hormonal birth control is so bad for you. You shouldn't be on birth control. You know, don't do anything with birth control. You know, yada, yada, yada. You know what? You do whatever makes you happy and whatever makes sense in your life. Corey and I are not in the market right now for the next 4 or 5 years to be having a baby. So yes, I am on birth control, and I am happy to report back that I think that is the best decision for me and my body and my family and my partnership right now. So my biggest recommendation for anyone that is, you know, thinking about birth control or seeing all over social media this new hot and trending thing to, you know, not be on birth control or whatever it is, you do whatever makes you happy. And yes, I am on birth control. I am happily on birth control. And yeah, I go to my doctor, I talk about when I'm thinking about getting off birth control and all that nonsense, but yes, I am on birth control. And are we thinking about, or how long are we thinking before we have kids once we are married? So I will be 27 when we get married, and Corey will be 29 when we get married. My goal is to at least wait a full maybe year to maybe 2 years after we're married to start trying to have kids. I really want to travel a little bit more. We want to buy a house before we start to have kids or start trying to have kids. And so yes, we are definitely in the market for wanting to have kids, but we're thinking probably maybe a year and a half to 2 years after we get married is when we'll start trying. And honestly, if we got pregnant before that, that would be okay too. Corey and I are really excited to be parents. Where I'm not rushing to be a parent, I am very excited to be a parent, and I know that that is a big commitment. It's something that will be life altering, so we both want to make sure that whenever it is that we do decide to start, you know, trying for a family and having a family, that we have lots of conversations before and we talk about our finances, and we just make sure that at that stage of our life that we are ready to be parents and kind of move forward with that. I'm also always happy to talk about mine and Corey's life timeline. I feel like some people like to keep that stuff private to themselves online, which I think there's no right or wrong, but when it comes to Corey and I, we're kind of an open book when it comes to our baby plans, buying a home, and all that kind of stuff, because in my opinion, I think it is nice to actually share your timeline with people, because I feel like right now at 27, living at home with my fiance, you know, that isn't necessarily the life trajectory that I thought. I thought I would be in my own home right now preparing for my wedding, but I'm not. I'm living with my parents, with my fiance, and we're doing that to save money. And I think whatever your timeline is in life, like that's the path that you're supposed to be on. There is no societal timeline. That shit drives me bananas. Like, you be on whatever timeline that it is that you're on. If we decide to stay here till I'm 31, then great. We decide to stay in this house till I'm 31. If we buy a house next week, great, we buy a house next week, which we are absolutely not, but just wanted to throw that out there. Next was another kid's question, which was, how many kids do you and Corey want to have, and do you have any names saved and picked out? How many kids do Corey and I want to have? I would love to have 2 children. I was a sibling child, so I had siblings. Well, a sibling. Corey's also a sibling child. I have an older brother. He has an older sister, and I loved having a sibling. I feel that it's really nice to be able to have 2, especially because then they can have someone to play with, and I don't know, I've always loved having a sibling in my life, and so I definitely want to have 2, and Corey feels the exact same way. Corey loves having a sibling. He's very, very close with his sister. I'm very close with my brother, and so the idea of having a sibling is something that we want. I would really love to stick with only 2, where I would be, you know, elated and happy if we had a third. I would never, you know, not want to have, you know, other children. I do think I would be very comfortable with 2. I really don't want to have 3 children, but if we did have 3, great. All God willing, more children. And do we have any names picked out? Yes, I have a girl name and a boy name that I love. The first is, I love the name Sophia for a girl, Sophia Angeline. I've loved it for years. Corey and I always talk about our little girl Sophia for when we have a girl. And I love the name Aiden for a boy, Aiden James, and AJ for short. I absolutely love. I've also thought about Aiden Joseph. It doesn't necessarily flow the same, but Joseph is my dad's name and my grandfather's name, so in remembrance of my grandfather and, of course, in conjunction my dad. I also love Aiden Joseph and AJ for short. Yeah, Sophia and Aiden are probably 2 of my favorite names. There's other names I love too, but I definitely think Sophia is my #1. I think it is like the most beautiful name. Corey and I were just talking about it today in the car when we were driving, how excited we both are for that phase of our life to be parents. I'm not wishing to be a parent today, but we always do talk about just the excitingness that is parenthood and how excited we are to be parents. You know, we're constantly with my niece and nephew. We're constantly with, you know, Corey's cousins, kids, and whatnot. And I feel that Corey's gonna make quite literally the best dad in the whole entire world. I'm very biased, but I mean, you all see Corey. He is one of the kids. He has the biggest, most kind, gentle heart. He is patient. They're all the things that I love about him. And I saw this on, I think it was TikTok. Ooh, I just ripped the paper. TikTok the other day, but something that I didn't even realize when I met Corey or when we started to really talk about spending our lives together. One of the first things that I saw this on TikTok the other day and I just loved it, but when you're picking your life partner, you're not only picking your life partner, but you're picking your children's father, and you're picking your, you know, your grandchildren's grandfather, and you're picking your, you know, brother-in-law and son-in-law, and just all these things. And I could not have picked a better partner in Corey. He is the light of my life. He is probably the perfect person for all of those roles, and I am so excited to see him as a dad. I think he's gonna make the best dad in the world. And so yeah, we're very excited for kids, but they will not be here for a while, but we are definitely excited to be parents one day. All right, next let's get into some YouTube questions. I got some really good questions regarding just YouTube in general. So the first one was, how did you get started on YouTube? So I think I've shared this story maybe once or twice before, but to be quite honest with you, I don't fully remember. So here's my YouTube origin story. So I wasn't a big YouTube watcher when I was growing up. Yes, I watched YouTube, but I didn't watch a ton of it. And I don't really know for what reason, other than maybe I just wasn't a big YouTube watcher. However, about a year before COVID, so in 2019, Corey and I started traveling internationally because of the company that we both worked for at the time. And I had always wanted to document our travels. I remember coming back from our first 2-week trip to Europe together. We visited 4 countries. We had so many photos to show people. And I look back on some of those trips, and what I found was that I never really had anything else to look back on other than photos. So that was one of the reasons, was I really wanted to start documenting our travels. And then secondly was, every year around Christmas time, there's a Christmas home video that my parents have of me and my brother on Christmas morning over 3 consecutive years. It's like burned together on a VCR. And it's a home video, and we get to watch, you know, me and my brother open Christmas presents, and there's inside jokes that, you know, come along with it. And we also get to watch my dance recitals and my cheer competitions and my brother's football games and what have you. And I just felt like Corey and I had lived so much life and had so many fun, beautiful, enjoyable moments. However, the problem that I was facing was that all we had to look back on was photos and stories to tell, which are great. And I wanted to start documenting things like a home movie, for example. So I found that one of the main reasons why I wanted to start on YouTube was because I wanted it to feel like I had home videos or memories to double click into and rewatch certain parts of our life. So when we went on our first Disney trip, that was when I was like, you know what? This is gonna be the catalyst. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. I'm gonna document mine and Corey's travels, and it's gonna be like home videos that I can click back into and remember. And some of my favorite videos I've ever done and I've ever created are the Disney videos, and that is solely because of the fact that I get to relive our first ever trip to Disney, which what made us like fall in love with going to Disney. So that's how I got started on YouTube. I really wanted to document our travels and create moments in time that I felt like I could double click back into, very much similar to a home video that I grew up with. So that is how I started on YouTube, and I absolutely love it. It is one of the best decisions that I have ever made. The next question goes kind of into the same thing, and it was, how long did it take for you to grow your channel? So I think that I got really lucky just with the first content that I put out, and it almost gave me this false sense of what YouTube is actually like. So for example, when we came back from Disney in 2021, that is when I posted my first ever YouTube video, and it was the Disney travel day vlog. And I remember waking up after a few days and I had like 600 views. Now mind you, I really didn't have any subscribers. I had just posted on Instagram that I was starting to start a YouTube channel, and I had maybe been posting on Instagram for probably, I don't know, like a month before or 2 months before our Disney trip. Very much like low lift, not anything crazy. I just remember saying like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have so many viewers. Like, this is amazing. And I think it was because I had posted Disney content that that's what people were searching, and then that's how I ended up growing a lot of subscribers in the beginning. In terms of how long it took me to grow, I hit 1,000 subscribers after, I think it was a year and a half. So I posted my first, or no, maybe it was about a year, maybe it was less. I don't remember exactly the timeline, but I think it was about a year to a year and a few months that I had ended up becoming like monetized, and I was able to start actually making money on YouTube. I hit 1,000 subscribers in April of 2022. And so it took, and I started posting in May of 2021. So about a year it took me to reach 1,000 subscribers. And that is not the normal. I think that I grew from my Disney content, because if you look at some of my videos that I posted, back when I first started, all my Disney, those first videos have, you know, 7,000, 8,000 views. And then immediately after that, I was getting maybe 100 views on my videos. So very much jarring experience when I was like, oh, this is great. I'm getting all these people that are like watching me and like watching the videos. It was not necessarily that. It was that they were finding Disney content, they were watching the Disney vlogs, and then they were watching them and leaving, which is fine. You know, I didn't really know much about YouTube at the time, or how it should work, or even that, how it was going to work. So it took me a while to grow. It is now almost 2024, and I am almost at 6,000 subscribers. That was my goal of this year. I'm about 50 away, so fingers crossed that I can hit that by New Year's, because that is definitely something that I am looking forward to and really want to accomplish, is 6,000 subscribers. But long story short, it took me about, I guess, as long as it's been to grow. And growing is not easy. If I was creating, you know, maybe more aesthetic content, maybe I would grow faster, but I'm not in the market to grow. Like, if I never grew another, you know, subscriber, it would be okay to me. Like, I was doing this because I wanted to document our travels, and I wanted to document my life, and I wanted to share my life on the internet. I was never doing it to get famous or create, you know, this aesthetic crazy content. I just wanted to document our travels and share mine and Corey's relationship and my life and just all things related with the internet. And so I decided to do that, and I've grown ever since, and it's been a really lovely, wonderful journey. Next question is favorite YouTubers. I'm just gonna rattle them off and I'll list them down below in the comments, but Jessica Braun, she's like one of my all-time favorites. Carter Sullivan, of course, she's like one of my best friends. Jenna Huang, I love her as well. Magically Caitlin, she's one of also my besties. Mackenzie Borg, I love her Disney, or Brog, I forget. I love her Disney vlogs. Those are my absolute favorite that she creates. Danielle Carolyn, I love. Brooke Michio, I love. Julianne Hunter, I also really enjoy. They're a couple, and I just enjoy their like fun, real vlogs. I love them. And then last, Shannon Marie. She was more on Instagram, but I love her on YouTube now. She's been doing Vlogmas, and it's been really fun to watch, so I love her as well. All right, the wrapping is fun, but let me tell you, I've wrapped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gifts, but some of these gifts, like for little kiddos, like I just want to put that in a bag. So I think I'm going to, because trying to wrap that one in a different character in here was pretty challenging. So you know what, that might have to be it for me. But let's do a few questions not wrapping gifts so that I can actually sit and chat with you guys. We're moving now into a little bit of travel, so international and Disney, so we'll talk about both. But the first is, how do you balance work and travel? This one is a hard question, yet an easy question. I'll start with why it's an easy question. I work for an international travel company, so I am really, really unbelievably grateful that I actually get the opportunity to travel internationally a lot for work. And when I am going to Iceland here in the next week, I'm not taking any time off because it's technically considered a work trip. So I'm very fortunate that I get to travel a lot for work. So that's what makes it easy, because yes, I have to work, but some of it is also related to work, so I'm not taking any days off. But how I balance work and travel is I also try to book a lot of our travel or plan our trips around times that work really well with work. So for example, when we go to Disney at the end of September, it's right before the very large start of one of our big seasons at work. So it's nice to go in September because I'm not taking off in the middle of a really hectic or busy season. The summer is a little bit lighter for us as well because we have a lot of travel that happens in the summer. So there's not as much work that's going on during the year. We're now just getting our trips on the road. And then normally in like early spring, I would say, as well as when I like to travel too, but that also makes it feel a little bit more like a vacation. Like, we are traveling in March this year, and I'm very excited about it because it's going to be a time where I've had 2 busy months of work, but then I actually get to feel like it's a bigger vacation as well. So I try to balance it that way. I think it really just depends on what your work schedule can look like, but I try to balance it in making sure that I'm taking time for myself, that also where it feels like a vacation and it's a separation from busy seasons at work, I'm also taking vacation when it might be a little bit slower, so I don't have that much to catch up on when I come back. Your favorite trip of 2023. So I have to say 2. I have 2 favorite trips that we took in 2023. My first favorite trip that we we took was our Disney trip to the Riviera. That was by far just such a magical trip. It was our first time ever staying deluxe. It was at a resort that we never even thought we'd be able to stay at. We got extremely pixie dusted. I met Carter. We got into a 1-bedroom, you know, villa at the resort, and it was just a true dream. It was so unbelievable. So many great memories. Some of my favorite vlogs I've ever created from Disney as well. One of my favorite Disney series too, so I just absolutely loved that trip. And then my second favorite, 1A, 1B, one is not more, you know, like one I don't favor more than the other. It's got to be our trip to Italy this summer. Corey and I have not had the opportunity to travel internationally together since, I think it was 2019 the last time that we had internationally traveled together, so I would definitely say that our Italy trip was so beautiful. That vlog series was really fun. I loved creating that. I loved being back in Europe. I loved just everything about going to Italy this summer with Corey, and it felt very off the beaten path where it was busy. We didn't do Florence, we didn't do Rome, we didn't do like these big major Italian cities. Instead we did the Cinque Terre, we went to the UNESCO heritage site. It was just beautiful, and it almost felt like a honeymoon to me because we were just very much relaxing the entire time. So those are definitely my two favorite trips of 2023. Next is, how do you both split cost of travel? Honestly, pretty much right down the middle. We don't do too many things very like 50-50, like we're completely past the, oh, I spent this much on groceries and you owe me $10. Like everything evens out in the end. It's just kind of how it works for us. But the way that we split travel is we always try to split it very much kind of down the middle, but we both contribute the same amount. So for example, when we book a Disney trip and we book the hotel, let's say the hotel, for lack of like math, is $2,000. Corey spends $1,000, I spend $1,000, and then when we get to Disney, we put one credit card on for the Magic Band. Whatever that grand total is, we both put all of the money that we've saved into the into the account, or into the like Disney gift cards and whatnot. We put onto the one Magic Band, bring the credit card down as low as it can go, and then let's say the balance is $400, $200 for me, $200 for Corey. But we're never like nickel and diming for travel. We did when we first started getting together because we both didn't have a lot of money, so we had to be super fair. But we're getting married, we've been together for 7 years. My money is his money is my money, so that's kind of how we split it. We try to keep things for the most part pretty even, but at the end of the day, like we have a trip that's upcoming, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We are using one person's credit card miles because it doesn't make sense to like split credit card miles. That's just like gonna get a little bit wonky. So that's kind of how we do that. But next is, are you planning anything international for 2024? The answer to that is fingers crossed, yes. We just don't know exactly what it's gonna look like. So we're not doing any international travel until post the wedding. So right now we're still deciding on our honeymoon destination, whether that's gonna be island specific or if it's going to be more European. We might do London and Paris with Disneyland Paris during Christmas time, or we're gonna do an island. If not, I still really want to go back to London in 2024 for the Christmas market. So that's something that I'm trying to plan regardless of what our year next year looks like. I really want to focus on international travel because it's gonna be the year of our wedding, so we're not gonna be doing much travel. So whatever travel we do, I kind of want it to be international the latter half of the year. So that is what we are planning, hopefully, fingers crossed, for the end of next year. But we still need to decide on a honeymoon destination and when we're even gonna do that. So who knows what that's gonna look like, but as of right now, I'm really hoping to do London for Christmas or see the Christmas markets in 2024. Next question was, what are some good tips that you have for saving money to travel? These are one of the hardest questions to answer, and I believe it's because when it comes to saving money for travel, for items, for Disney, for a new purse, for a washing machine, whatever that might be, it's about discipline, and it's about how bad do you want to save for that item in conjunction with like how much money you make, right? You can't save $50,000 if you only make $90,000 and you have to pay for a mortgage. Like, it's all relative, and so I think this is kind of a hard question to answer, but two things and kind of two tips that I'll give in terms of saving money when it comes to travel. The first is you need to pick a destination that you're willing to sacrifice things for, if that makes sense. So for example, when Corey and I were going to Italy this summer, we knew that it was going to be a big flight expense. We knew that, and we knew that we were willing to sacrifice going out to dinners, shopping on Amazon, you know, not going to the mall on the weekends, or, you know, him not golfing every weekend and golfing every other weekend so that he could put more money aside because he was doing, and I was doing, and we were doing together less activity. So that's the first one. You have to be choosing a destination that you're willing to sacrifice, you know, doing bigger spending on, because I think that's how you have to save the money. I would say the second thing is just being disciplined. Like, the money is not, you're not going to naturally wake up one morning and start making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 more. And if you do, that's amazing for you. But the reality is that you have to make concessions somewhere. You have to start saving, and you have to start putting money aside, and you have to be disciplined. When you're shopping online shop, and before you hit checkout, close out, because you probably don't need all that stuff and you need to save your money for travel. We're both very good about making concession and saving money where we need, because travel is a major part of our life. So we're not going out to dinner all the time. We're not ordering takeout. We're very much saving the necessary money that we need to in order to travel. So it's kind of a hard question to answer, because I think you have to be disciplined with it. But I would say that those are my tips and tricks. Or another thing is travel domestically. Like, drive 2 hours somewhere and book a 1 or 2 nights at a hotel, or 1 night at a hotel. You don't have to travel astronomically far just to have this sense of travel. So that's another thing. Next question was a trip you're looking forward to planning non-Disney. So it's kind of a cop-out answer, because I'm not planning it, but I'm excited for it, and it's not Disney. I am so excited for my bachelorette. My best friend and I decided that I decided, but she's planning it. We're going to Austin, Texas for my bachelorette, and I am so unbelievably excited for that. So that is a trip that I'm looking forward to. I'm not really planning much, but I'm excited to start getting like outfits and things ready and together for it. So I'm gonna use a cop-out answer and say my bachelorette, because that is a trip that I am very much looking forward to. Now let's get into some Disney questions, because you always ask Disney questions and I'm so happy to answer them. The first one is, have you ever gone to any other Disney parks around the world? No, Corey and I have not traveled to any other international Disney parks, but it is on our bucket list that by 2025, by the spring of 2025, we want to either check off 1 or 2, one being Disneyland and the second one being either Shanghai, Hong Kong, or Tokyo. We really want to go super far when we go to another Disney park, so we are hoping, fingers crossed, to check that off our bucket list relatively soon in the next year or 2. But yes, we definitely want to check off more. Can you rank all the Disney hotels that you've stayed at? Yes, we can. I actually think that we're gonna do an entire podcast episode on this, but we haven't stayed at every single one, so it's a little bit more challenging. So yes, we will rank them. I think we're gonna rank them in a podcast episode though, versus a YouTube video, because I think that would be a lot more fun and we can get a lot more granular and chat a little bit more. And of course, the most asked question, as always, is when is your next Disney trip? So you heard it here first. Happy holidays. Corey and I are going back to Disney. We just booked our trip last week, and we are actually headed back to Disney in March. So we're very excited. Another full week at Disney. So we're gonna have a full week of Disney vlogs coming again in March. We're going mid-March. I'm not going to share our dates, but we are going mid-March. We're very excited, and we are staying at a new resort, and it is deluxe as well. So you can throw your guesses down in the comments below, but we are very excited to be heading back to Disney. We waited about 2 to 3 weeks, I think it was, since we've been back from our trip to book. Yeah, so we waited a little bit. We always try to get our Disney trips planned and booked. We also decided to go in March because we have a lot coming up with the wedding. That the only time that we'll probably be able to go to Disney in the next calendar year is March. So we wanted to book one last kind of bigger hoorah trip. We thought about Disneyland. Ultimately, with the annual passes, it just made way more sense for us to go back to Walt Disney World, because we already have a Walt Disney World annual pass, so it makes the most sense to actually go at that time. And to round us out in our coffee chat, we're gonna get into some miscellaneous questions. So the first one is, what is the story with all of your stuffed animals and your stuffies? So my story starts with Mr. Bear. So I have this very old teddy bear, like long bear, that my dad got for me when I made honor roll for the first time in the 6th grade, and he's been a part of my life ever since. And then when Corey and I got together, I've had him since the 7th grade, brought him with me to college, I've had him forever, and I just love my little stuffed animals. And then after that, Corey like jokingly got me a Bruni, a blue Bruni, when Frozen 2 came out, because I love blue Bruni and all things Frozen, and it just kind of stemmed from there. Then I got a Svenny, and then we got Remington, my purple hippopotamus, and then all my little stuffed animals have just kind of gone through from there. And I don't know, I just find them very comforting and relaxing, and people probably think it's very childish, but you know what, I enjoy it, and I find them to be comforting, sitting on the couch having a little stuffy friend. So I love them. I like to travel with them once in a while when we go to Disney, or if we go around and about. I just love having them. They're just a little part of my life and a part of that like almost feel like home. So I love my little stuffed animal friends. I also get this question almost every time I do a coffee chat. I'm happy to answer it. Would you guys ever move to Florida? The answer to that is probably no. We love New England. I do love the 4 seasons as much as I complain about the winter. I do enjoy getting crisper, cooler weather, and all of our family is here. So no, I don't think that we would ever move to Florida at this stage of our life. When we get a lot older, maybe, so that we can be snowbirds. But the other thing is we love going to Disney, but I don't necessarily think that I would love to live near Disney. Well, actually that's a lie. I would love to live near Disney, but I also love the idea of going to Disney and having it be a bigger thing than living there. So dual-ended. I don't think we'd ever move to Florida, but we've considered it and it's just like not in the cards for our phase of life, so probably not. Next question was biggest goals and excitement for 2024. Well, the thing I'm most looking forward to is getting married. I'm so excited to be a wife. I'm excited to get married. I'm so excited to spend and have that day with Corey. So that is my biggest excitement. And I would say one of my biggest goals for 2024, I have to start creating my goals here in the next week or so because I want to film my 2024 reset, but I would say 2 goals off the top of my head is I would love to hit 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So that is probably one of my biggest goals I would love to accomplish. And then one of my second goals is I would love to be hosted. Like I would love to be hosted by a hotel or a tourism board, or Disney would be like the dream. That feels like a very large stretch goal, but that would be quite literally the dream. But I would love to be hosted in some way by, you know, maybe Maine or New Hampshire or a certain hotel, and just like vlog my experience at the hotel and in the town and with the tourism board. So those would be probably 2 really big goals that I have for 2024. Excited to hopefully accomplish them. So yeah, those are some goals that I have for 2024. And then to close out our coffee chat, my last question, best moment of 2023. This is a hard one because I feel like I've had so many beautiful moments of 2023 that it's almost hard to pick a favorite. But doing a little bit of reflection and thinking back to my best moment of 2023, I'm gonna say 2. My first one was picking our wedding venue because it made the process feel like we were actually getting the ball rolling and that we were getting married. So one of my best moments was picking our wedding venue, which we did in January, and that feels so long ago, but that definitely was one of my favorite, like by far favorite moments of 2023. And I would say my next one was traveling internationally with Corey again. Corey and I love to travel. We love to explore the world and just experience new things together. And I think going back to Italy and getting back into international travel just showed us how much we absolutely love seeing the world and how it's such a big part of our life. So I would definitely say that that was by far one of my favorite memories of 2023. So with that being said, this was a fun little festive coffee chat. I'm glad we got to catch up on life. I did some wrapping. Now I'm gonna end this video and get some more wrapping done because there's a lot still that I need to get done and bagged and organized. But with that being said, I love you guys so much. Thanks for being so supportive with my Vlogmas series that I did this year. But with that being said, I'm gonna end this month's coffee chat here. I love you guys so much and I will see you in the next one. Happy holidays and thanks so much for loving Vlogmas.